All right, so I'm doing this video a bit early. Normally I do this on a Sunday, but I don't expect anything to change between now and tomorrow. So this is the latest Electoral College map. As you can see, not much has changed for the Democrats except for Colorado has been made a safe state. Now remember, this is based on polling averages. So Colorado is now considered a safe state. But the number of electoral votes for the safe category is now up to 108 for Democrats, but still 118 for Republicans. So if you just look at safe states, the Republicans are leading. If you add the likelies, which is 77 for Democrats and only 10 for Republicans, because Ohio went from being a likely vote for Republicans to leaning. So they now only have 10 Electoral College votes. If you add that up, the Democrats still have 185, and the Republicans are now down to 128. So, still technically anybody's game, but yeah, Trump is hurting. And this has happened before the debate, this change. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens once the polls start reflecting the abysmal performance from Trump in the debate. And I'm actually being very nice by saying it's abysmal, because let's face it, he was just cuckoo bananas the whole time. But as we all know, there's more to this than just the Electoral College for the president, because if Kamala Harris were to be elected but she doesn't have control of Congress, she's not going to get anything passed. And the reason she isn't going to get anything passed is because Republicans are a bunch of crybabies who can't handle that somebody else might get something done. So, yeah, I don't think the House actually does polling anymore, because this contest the map has not changed since I started following, basically. So let's check I'm sorry, that was the Senate. My brain is obviously tired. All right, so the House. So it looks like the Republicans have lost a seat. They're down to 208. The Democrats are up to 206. And we have 21 toss-ups. So it's still anybody's game. The Senate looks like it's going to be a tie. Like I said, it hasn't moved since I started following. So who knows what's going to happen with the Senate. All the more reason why if Kamala Harris were to be elected, Tim Walz would be the deciding vote. He would be the tie-breaking vote. So let me just... So Tim Walz would be the deciding vote in the Senate. And things are very, very close still with the House. So it's still anyone's game. As you saw, as of now, the Republicans have a 2-seat lead, but neither one is at a majority. Let's see. Majority is what? It doesn't say how much is a majority. Alright. 218 seats. There we go. So the Republicans just need 10 more seats to get to keep their majority in the House. Which is within the toss-up states. So, like I said, it's still anybody's game. With the Senate, like I said, it doesn't seem like it's moved ever. So if it stays the way it is, the best the Democrats can hope for is a tie. In which case, Tim Walz would be the deciding vote. The problem with that is the Republicans love the filibuster when they can use it to screw over the Democrats. And since the filibuster is still a thing, for votes that require more than just a majority, that's not going to help the Democrats at all. Now, last time I did a video like this, I talked about voter suppression and the fact that the Republicans are trying to suppress the vote. Now, an upside to that is after the debate, Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. And she was very thoughtful in her reasonings. Like, she didn't like that there was an AI-generated image of her supposedly endorsing Trump. And back then, Trump was like, I appreciate your endorsement, I accept your endorsement, but now that she's actually come out to support Harris, suddenly Trump's like, oh, I don't like Taylor Swift, I prefer Brittany Mahomes, never was a fan of her, blah, blah, blah. So, that just shows you how much his tune changes when someone turns on him. You know, or seemingly turns on him. Because, let's face it, Taylor Swift was never a Trump supporter. She never liked him. So, she registered hundreds of thousands of people. And by she registered, I mean that a bunch of people went to vote.gov to register to vote. So hopefully they don't just register, but they actually go out and actually vote. And if that's the case, I'm thinking that it's going to be harder and harder for the Republicans to steal this election. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to go over with this. Alright, let's see if there's anything else. Nope, that looks like that is all. And for those who are new to this series, who wonder how come I don't talk about the likelies, even though I did show that Harris has 293 votes and to 245, why do I not talk about that? That's because those are leaning votes, and for most of those are toss-ups. And toss-ups, according to 270 to win, is less than 5%. So, because those can go back and forth quickly, I just don't, even though I do show it on the map, I don't talk about it simply because we don't know how those votes are where those votes are eventually going to go. It's not going to be until it hits the likely and definitely the safe categories where you can say, yeah, this is a done deal. This is how things are going. This is how the race is going. So the best we can say right now is it's 185 Electoral College votes to 128. And again, that's because Trump basically lost Ohio. It's now leaning, and that is 17 Electoral College votes. So, yeah, even though that map still looks very ugly, there isn't a lot of blue compared to red, especially what looks like safe states. Things are looking pretty good for Kamala Harris. Now, again, that can always change. Like I said, just because Taylor Swift got a lot of people to register doesn't mean that they'll actually go out and vote, even though early voting is starting. But there are places that are trying to actively suppress the vote. Like I saw in North Carolina, the latest crap that they've been pulling is that the Republicans, even though early voting has started, have decided that, oh, RFK Jr. wants off the ballot, even though it's too late. But yeah, sure, we'll just reprint those ballots for early voters, and yeah, we'll take you off the ballot. So it's shit like that. Now, I get it why they want to take him off the ballot. I fully understand that. They are hoping that with him off the ballot, it wouldn't take away votes from Trump. But the problem is RFK Jr. wasn't exactly polling high to begin with. So I can't imagine that Trump would be getting a lot of votes from this. And that's why they are suing a lot of the battleground states to take his name off the ballot. Like here in Wisconsin, J.D. Vance is going off about how the Democrats won't take RFK Jr.'s name off the ballot, even though it's literally the law that unless you die, if you have made the criteria for getting on the ballot, you're staying on the ballot. So, yeah, can't help you there. But again, in none of these polls was he an entity. He's a non-entity in all the polls. If he was an entity in any of the polls, you would see a category for third party. But you don't see a category for third party. As I choke on my own saliva. You don't see a category for third party because no third party candidate is relevant. And that's the other reason why why I usually talk about how voting third party under this system is very, very stupid. Because they're not relevant. I think the Libertarian Party is the only party, that third party, that's in every state, but I'm unsure. I used to think it was also the Green Party, but no, the Green Party is not on the ballot in every state. So if you're not even at a position where you could win enough votes, then you're not relevant. Now, should they be relevant? Absolutely. I was today years old when I found out that we actually have a communist party in the United States. And no, it's not the Democrats. Actually, the Communist Party actually did a pushback on Trump's assertion that Kamala Harris is a Marxist. Of course, he also calls her a fascist, as if those two are synonymous or something. He's called her a Marxist, he's called her a socialist, he's called her a communist, and he's called her a fascist. As if all of those are synonymous. Now, when it comes to Marxism, communism, and socialism, are they very similar? Yes, absolutely. Are they all the same thing? No. And fascism, well, all you have to do, and this actually works for those who think that socialism and communism are the same thing. Just ask yourself, in World War II, what side was Russia on compared to Germany? Were they on the same side? No. No, they were not. Why? Because they do not like each other. So communists and fascists are not the same, because otherwise they would not be fighting each other. Now, for those who are whining that the Nazis were socialist, as if, because you label something a thing, that it suddenly makes it that. And if that's the case, may I point you to the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. Nobody will say that it is a democratic republic. Nobody's going to say it's a people's republic. It's just no. So just because people use words doesn't mean they mean the thing that they say. Sort of like how the Republicans put truth in everything. Doesn't mean they actually are spouting truth. Anyway. So, yeah. How did I get off on that topic? I do not know. But let's get back to the map. Third parties should be viable. Absolutely. We should have a system where the best ideas win, as opposed to, well, these are the only two parties that could potentially do anything, so I'm stuck with these two. And plus, there are plenty of Republicans who just can't stand or were kicked out of the Republican Party because they wouldn't show fealty to Trump. They didn't see him as their dear leader. They didn't kiss the ring, so they were kicked out, or they ran out because they just don't want to deal with it. Now, a lot of those people are Republicans not because of the social issues, but because of the fiscal issues. They're fiscally conservative, but socially liberal. With these two parties as they stand, You have to choose what's more important to you. Fiscal issues or social issues. Or in the case of MAGA, democracy. But you have to make that value judgment. If there were viable third parties, you wouldn't have to do that. You could pick a party that represents your values, whether you're fiscally conservative and socially liberal, or vice versa, if that's even a thing. And you can truly vote your conscience. This is what I believe. This is who I'm going to vote for. Whereas, as it stands now, you basically have to pick which, okay, I'm fiscally conservative, but I just cannot stomach what MAGA wants to do, so I have to vote Democrat. So yeah. Do I like that more people are going to vote Democrat because the Republican Party's turning off so many people? Of course. Would I also like someone to challenge all ideas, Democratic ideas as well, that, whether it's on fiscal policy or social issues, to challenge both dominant parties from both sides, because this will give you a better chance of how do people truly feel, as opposed to assuming that the moderate position is a good position, which it is, because moderates tend to give a damn about both sides and want to balance things out. But that's because of our system. As you saw on the Electoral College map, Trump, even though with all the red, especially the dark red, on the map, is losing. And the reason he's losing is because those states are less populated, and so they don't have as many Electoral College votes. So he needs more states than Kamala Harris does to get the same result, because he's not popular. So we should have a system where, people can decide for themselves, no Electoral College, popular vote, and have third parties, viable third parties, so they can then, this has happened in primaries, that the front runners will see who is gaining traction amongst the rest of the field, and they will take on some of the policies of, say, someone who's further to the left when it comes to Democrats, or further to the right when it comes to Republicans, or maybe more moderate. Right now, the Republicans are going absolute cuckoo bananas. But, so there is that they have that ability. But why not allow for parties where, you can vote your conscience. You can vote for people whose values truly align with yours, as opposed to, well, this is the closest. I don't know how many Democrats or Republicans would leave the party, to support a third party candidate. A viable third party candidate. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm sure there are plenty of Republicans who are holding their nose to vote for Harris simply because Trump is just so untenable. But I'm sure that, they should be able to vote for a party that they truly feel comfortable voting for. That way you won't have to deal with things like the log cabin Republicans, who a lot of gay people feel like are traitors. Because I understand that they're voting for the fiscal policies of Republicans, but let's face it, especially today's Republican Party, they've gotten so extreme that, it's the leopard eating faces party when it comes to minorities and women. Why are you voting for them? You're just hurting yourself. So yeah, it would be nice to have a party that's fiscally conservative, but socially liberal. Like I said, anywhere in between, socially liberal, socially conservative, fiscally liberal, if that's even a thing, I don't know. But just so they could have, just like in the House, you'll have Bernie Sanders or an AOC, but at the same time you'll have more moderate Democrats, but they're a part of the same party. What if there's a party for those who some would consider more extreme, and a party for those who are moderate? That way, you would get to see where the majority of the American people are, and you would know who has a mandate to do what, as opposed to having these huge tents, and you have to try to balance the progressives with the moderates, and then basically nobody's happy. I mean, granted, nobody will be happy with government anyway, because nobody's going to get everything they want. But it'll give you more of an idea of where the American people stand on what they want. So it would be easier to push for certain policies, because the government will see this is where the American people are at on these issues, as opposed to us guessing or just, following someone else, or however it is that you decide what the policies are. So, well, that was quite the rant, which I didn't expect to go into. But, yeah, that's pretty much how I'm going to treat every one of these videos, I think. But anyway, I believe that is all I have for this video. And as usual, if there's a major change in the Electoral College map come next week, I will do another one of these videos. So with that, I will see you guys in the next one.